You're not crazy for this, but it might be a little uncomfortable to admit. Because at some point, almost everyone has done it. You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and suddenly your brain decides to direct a full cinematic universe that you were never invited to audition for. A conversation that never happened. An argument that never existed. A version of someone apologizing in a tone so perfect it should win an Oscar. And the worst part? You're fully emotionally invested in something that is not real. Not partially. Not maybe. Fully. Now, here's the uncomfortable question nobody likes to sit with. Why does your mind keep building fake scenarios that hurt, excite, or confuse you more than real life ever does? Let's start where it gets a little dark. Your brain doesn't actually care about truth. It cares about stimulation. That's it. Reality is often slow, repetitive, and painfully unpredictable. But imagined scenarios, they give you control. You can pause them, replay them, edit people's words like you're rewriting reality itself. In your head, you are not ignored. You are not rejected. You are not confused. You are the writer, director, and emotional lead actor in every situation. And honestly, that feels addictive. Because real life doesn't give you closure on demand, but your imagination does. Except it lies. Very convincingly. Now, let's talk about something you probably don't want to hear. A lot of these fake scenarios aren't random. They are emotional rehearsals. Your mind is constantly trying to prepare you for situations that might never happen. What if they leave you? What if they insult you? What if you finally say the wrong thing and everyone suddenly realizes you're not as impressive as you pretend to be? Your brain hears that fear and says, "Don't worry. I'll simulate it 47 times until you suffer enough to feel prepared." How thoughtful. How absolutely unhinged. And yet, you let it run. Because somewhere deep inside, imagining pain feels safer than being surprised by it. But here's the twist. Not all fake scenarios are painful. Some are dangerously comforting. You imagine people finally understanding you, apologizing, missing you, realizing your value after you've disappeared from their life like some mysterious emotional ghost. It feels good, right? Too good. That's because those scenarios are not about them. They are about validation. Your real life hasn't delivered yet. Your mind is basically saying, if reality won't give me closure, I'll generate my own version. And that's where it gets a little sarcastic. Because your brain is not a therapist. It's a dramatist with zero budget control. It will create a fake apology scene with perfect lighting, perfect timing, and perfect emotional music, but it still won't text you back in real life. Funny how that works. Now, let's go deeper. People who constantly imagine fake scenarios are not delusional. They are often hyper-aware. They notice micro changes in tone, a delayed reply, a slightly different emoji, a sentence that felt off but nobody else noticed. And instead of letting those moments pass, the brain does what it does best. It builds theories, entire storylines, alternate timelines. Suddenly, one okay message turns into a psychological thriller. Was that cold? Are they losing interest? Did I say something wrong 3 days ago that I forgot, but they didn't? Welcome to mental over-editing, where nothing is confirmed, but everything feels like a clue. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Nobody frames nicely. Your imagination is not always protecting you. Sometimes it's just feeding your anxiety in high definition. Because the more you replay scenarios, the more your brain starts believing they are real possibilities instead of random thoughts. And your nervous system reacts accordingly. Your body starts feeling emotions from events that never happened. That's the part that should concern you. Not the thoughts, but the emotional consequences of fictional events. Now, let's talk about something darker. Sometimes, people don't stop imagining fake scenarios because they are anxious. They do it because reality feels emotionally underwhelming. Real conversations don't hit the same. Real people don't respond the way they should. Real life doesn't offer dramatic resolution music when things go wrong. So the mind steps in and says, "Fine, I'll fix it." And suddenly, you're living more in imagined dialogues than actual ones. You're reacting to people who aren't even in the room, arguing with versions of them that only exist in your head. And slowly, without noticing, you start feeling emotionally drained from things that never happen. That's the irony. You're exhausted from fiction. Now, let's be a little sarcastic for a moment. Congratulations. You've built a full-time emotional simulation system in your brain. No salary, no vacation, no benefits. Just overthinking at 3 a.m. like it's a paid subscription service you can't cancel. But why is it so hard to stop? Because these scenarios serve a purpose. They give you control in a world that rarely offers it. You can't control what people say, but you can control what they say in your head. You can't control outcomes, but you can rehearse them endlessly. It feels like preparation, but often it's just emotional looping. And the loop gets stronger every time you believe it. So how do you know it's becoming a problem? It's simple. When your imaginary conversations feel more emotionally intense than real ones. When you start reacting to things that never happened. When your mind feels like it's constantly on, even when nothing is happening. That's not creativity anymore. That's overload. But here's the part that rarely gets said out loud. Your imagination is not the enemy. It's just untrained. It doesn't know when to stop. It doesn't know the difference between useful prediction and emotional self-sabotage. It just runs. And if you don't guide it, it will guide you into conversations that never existed, into conflicts that never happened, into versions of yourself that are always reacting, never resting. So, the real question isn't, why do I imagine fake scenarios? The real question is, why does my mind feel safer in fiction than in reality? Because once you answer that, honestly, everything changes. Not instantly, not magically, but quietly. And sometimes, that's the most dangerous part. Because the mind that creates fake scenarios is also the mind that believes them, if you let it run long enough.